Hey guys, welcome back to the Atrium at GreenBayPackerNation.com. I'm Brady Augustine.
And I'm J.R. Augustine.
And today we're going to be talking about three things. For real? Turnabout is fair play? And it's all about space. So stick with us. This is the Atrium at GreenBayPackerNation.com.
This is Major Tom to ground control.
Well, JR, I think everyone in Packer Nation has, at least in the back of their mind, this question. Is the offense, the performance we saw in the Washington game, was that for real?
It was fun to watch.
It was fun to watch.
And you wonder, it could be a lot of fun if it continues, but that is the question.
Yeah.
Is it going to continue?
Yeah, the offense in that game looked, to a great extent, the way we would have expected this offense to be all season.
Yes.
And yet, it's kind of been the opposite of that.
Yeah.
What do you think accounts for that?
Well, honestly, I look at the real difference that I see in this game as compared to other games where we've kind of thought that the offense has bounced back. Ever since the 6-game streak at the beginning of the season, we've been talking about how the offense just needs to bounce back, and at times it looked like it. In Minnesota, we took Minnesota to task in the first meeting of the season, and at that point you wondered, we're back on track now, right? It's going to roll now.
Sure.
All those the crazy doldrums that we were stuck in.
Yeah, the only problem with that, it's all over with, except now we got to go back to Lambeau and play NFC North guys that we know, and suddenly then we fall apart.
Right.
Crazy. Well, do you think the Washington game, that's what we're going to see out of this offense from now on?
I'm hesitant, to be honest, just like probably everyone. But I'm leaning now towards that this is for real. And there's one thing that really, I think, sets this performance apart from other performances is the fact that the team was smiling, having some fun. Aaron's been talking about it all week, how they need to play loose. They did so. The offense did so against Washington, and that, I think, in my mind, is the difference. That's the trigger that says that this is now we're starting to maybe find a rhythm. Some of the young players, Aberderis is really starting to come into his own. James Jones off for a long time and now starting to make those snags that we need him to make.
Right. I think, if unfortunately, this is an unfortunate thing, but for me, I believe that offensive performance was for real because Davante Adams finally made the catches we needed him to make.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he may very well not be available because of the knee injury.
Right.
But that threat is a dimension to our offense. I feel like if you went back and you gave Davante Adams catches for all of his drops, we would probably pick up 4 games by the time it's all said and done.
Yeah.
But mainly this offense with that third receiver threat, it's extremely important to the way we run things. That and the consistency of the running game were good.
Right. Yeah.
So the Davante Adams to me is still a question mark. So I am still cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
But it's heavy on the caution right now.
Yeah.
I do believe that our offense will be for real. I've said this from the beginning, and you said this. If we run the ball effectively, and that means, especially in the first quarter, if we run the ball and we don't make yards all the time, we have to stay with the run.
Right.
Because defenses, that's exactly what they're trying to do is stop the run first.
Yep.
But if we continue if we commit to the run, and it's going to break out for us like it did against Washington, I think that was for real. If you take out the fumbles and the goofy crap and the and you start putting our offensive line back together, I think this offense can come around the way it did. But that's going to be extremely important.
And we had a couple of drives early on where the run game just was not mustering any yardage.
Right.
Or very little.
Right.
And the thing was, like you said, we didn't go away from it.
Yes.
If you give up on it and you rely on Aaron's arm with a bunch of receivers that are having trouble catching the ball, then the whole sync is going to be completely off.
Right.
So we need to synchronize better, and we need to keep at that run. And we've been through the stats. When we run the ball less than 30 times a game, we lose the game.
That's right.
When we run the ball more than 30 times a game, we win those games.
Right, that's that 50, and Mike McCarthy's all about balance between the run and the pass. And I think that's a good thing when you've got a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers because it helps him out. I mean, you could try to sling it around, but you get a wide receiver core that then they start to get a little bit out of sync. The whole thing, we've seen, falls like a house of cards. Mm-hmm. And the last thing Green Bay can afford to do is get in a shootout with anybody right now because, now we can throw the ball. We've shown that, but it can't be sort of our go-to. It can't be our MO right now. Right. So,
and you made the point that in a shootout, Arizona has lost shootouts this year, but you get in a shootout and it gets really iffy.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, we'll see come Saturday. Well, JR, there's a saying that goes, turnabout is fair play. Now, the last time that the Packers played the Cardinals, not that we really want to talk about it.
It's hard to talk about.
Yeah, because, what did we got, the Cardinals sacked the Packers 9 times. I think 8 were Aaron Rodgers and one
was garbage time.
Yeah. But will the Packers be able to turn the tables this time around, do you think?
Well, I think so. The last time we watched the Packers play Arizona, they threw up a graphic that showed that when the Packers sack their opponents two times or more, that we win the game, which is great. But when you get sacked 8 times, it doesn't work so well. I think turnabout will be fair play this game. I don't really expect that we're going to necessarily sack Carson Palmer 8 times, right. But I think we're going to get to him. And that's important because, Palmer, well, any NFL team, any NFL quarterback that can just stand in the pocket is going to complete passes. But Palmer, he's going to tear us apart if we don't get pressure on him. That said, we will get pressure on him, and if we do, he'll make mistakes.
Right. I think last time we played him, we expected our defense to get some pressure on it. It just really wasn't there to a great extent. We're going to have to have that. If we can stop the run and we can get in Carson Palmer's face, we don't necessarily have to have 8 sacks. We can have, if we have those 2 sacks, but we have a lot of hurries, we can get him. I was looking for sort of a comparison game, and I watched the Steelers game from week 6. Now, I know that's early in the season, but keep in mind that Steelers game, the Steelers played without their start. They played their 3rd string quarterback for most of that game, and Ben Roethlisberger didn't play. The Cardinals, on the other hand, had Chris Johnson at the time, who was one of the leading running backs in the league, and they had Honey Badger. Mm-hmm. They lost that game, and a lot of it, and Carson Palmer threw 2 picks. I just feel like if we can get in Carson Palmer's face, we are going to have opportunities. Maybe it's just an incomplete pass, but maybe it's an interception. Look at this Packer defense in the last, even with the young guys we've got. They have been knocking on the door getting interceptions, but they've been fingertips on the ball, but not quite being able to pull them in. If we pull these in, it can make a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the first half of the horrific matchup against the Cardinals the first time around, we did get pressure on Carson Palmer, and what resulted? Was it Mike Daniels, I think, that had an interception.
Yeah, right. The defense did.
He'll make mistakes, and we did get pressure on him, and they did. We've talked all year long about the fact that our defense, despite the fact that it's really kind of cobbled together, has been doing a fine job. There are times when they've had letdowns, yes. Johnson had a 44-yard run early in the game against us last time we played Arizona. But by and large, the defense has not been the problem. They've done enough to give the offense opportunities to win. And they did that against the Cardinals the first time around. We did get pressure on them.
Right.
Maybe not as many sacks as we would like to. Maybe not as many turnovers as we would like to. But we did get some pressure on him, and if we can continue that, and our offense can click the way it did last week, we can easily win this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another, I think, solid comparison between the Arizona Cardinals' loss to the Steelers and a comparison to the Packers team that we have. The Steelers' defense in that game gave up 200 yards in the first half. Mm-hmm. but they were tough in the red zone. Does that not sound like what the Packers defense
really
has
does.
done all
Yeah.
year? They played a sub-package defense with a lot of DBs on the field, and they tighten up as the field gets compressed into the 20-yard line. How many interceptions do we have in the end zone? You know, or very close to it. So that bodes well for what we're trying to do. And I do feel like our defense and their defense are somewhat similar. And of course, we both play that 3-4 style of defense.
Right. Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. And but yeah, if we can get in Carson Palmer's face, we got a chance in this one. Did you catch that little shout out to David Bowie at the beginning with the?
Yeah, I did. It was nice.
Well, rest in peace. I mean, I was sad to see him go, so it's pretty cool. Hey. Well, we want to talk about space. It's all about space, you said, right? And I think that, again, going back to the Steelers, not just the Steelers game, I'm just going to set this up a little bit. If you look at what the Steelers did to beat the Cardinals, and if you look at what the Seahawks more recently did to beat the Cardinals, they both did it in different ways, but their offenses were able to dictate those games, and the Steelers in particular with their third string quarterback, but they did it by creating space.
Right. Which is something your receivers have got to have, and we have not had here and there.
Have not had, but there's a difference to me between space and separation. Separation is an individual receiver, what an individual receiver creates when they run a particular route on a particular play. Space, in a general way, can be created in several. You create space when you run the ball effectively, because what you're doing is your offense, if you run the ball effectively, is starting to dictate the way the defense looks.
Right.
And if you can run the ball effectively, you get cornerbacks and safety starting to cheat up a little bit. What you're doing then is creating space behind those guys. So that's one way you can create space. The Seattle Seahawks, when they gave the Cardinals a sound beating. And part of what they did is they could run the ball effectively, but they did it by creating space. The Seahawks have a 4-receiver set that has the receivers, all 4 receivers, almost all the way to the sideline. That creates space. It creates gaps in the defense because you've got to cover these guys.
Them outside.
Right. It also creates space for the receivers because they had one receiver would be up on the line of scrimmage, one would be off a little bit. That creates space at the outset of the route. But what did they do out of that? Did they throw? They ran the ball out of that set, and what that did is gave space the running back for the running back,
right?
And it made a huge difference. And I feel like if the Packers offense doesn't just try to put their foot down and we're just going to do whatever we do, and they're willing to make some adjustments, think outside of the box a little bit and create some space, then this Arizona Cardinals defense, they can miss tackles. I have seen them miss tackles in space. And this is one good thing. If our receivers catch the ball, James Jones is a big guy, and he is tough to bring down.
Right.
In space, he will get extra yards after the catch. We saw what Randall Cobb can, fading like right off the screen here. We saw what Randall Cobb can do as a running back.
Right.
Give him a little space. He's a very nifty running back. And wide receiver, excuse me. And I know you were saying there's other ways we can create space too, one in particular.
Well, continue running the ball, but
Right.
The concept that space creates or gives our receivers that opportunity to create separation. We haven't been able to get separation because we don't have that space. If we can create that space, then Randall Cobb's going to start getting his separation again. We're going to start hitting him across the middle of the field like we have always done. Aberderis is going to start getting open and getting some catches across. But also, you create that space, and the screen game starts to work like nobody's business.
Right, and we know what our offense can do. Both James Starks and Eddie Lacy are phenomenal in space when they can catch the ball out of the backfield. One that we didn't mention is, what if our running game is going, you start getting, maybe you start getting run blitzes, or you start getting cornerbacks, people are starting to cheat up a little bit. There's this kid named Jeff Janis that might just squeak right behind that, into that voided area.
create
And
that
if he-
deep threat that we've been
Right.
missing.
We were asking the question. You guys can comment on this. What do you think would happen to the Packers offense if Jeff Janis catches maybe even just 2 or 3 of those long balls a game? We've been trying to force feed him to him, but if, let's say, our running game begins to click, we see an opportunity and we hit him 1 or 2 times, that could make a big difference moving forward. I don't know how much he's going to be on the field. I think Aberderis is going to be kind of, hopefully, coming into his own at this point. But it makes a big difference, and it's all about space. So, does this, just before we go, I don't know if we'll end up with a prediction show or not, so I'm going to go ahead and go for it right now. This is spur of the moment, unexpected. I didn't even expect it. Do the Packers get it done this week?
I think they do.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we pick up the tempo a little faster this game, and offensively. I think our defense does exactly what our defense has done. I think there's no way that Aaron Rodgers gets sacked 8 times, and I don't think that our offense is going to revert back to the horrific play that they have been exhibiting lately. I think we win this game. I don't think it's a blowout, and I don't think it's as easily done as it was done against the Redskins, but I think we win this game.
Part of me I've kind of gone to bat for this offense for so long this year. That here's how. Okay, and at the same time, and if you've watched a few of the Prediction Fridays, I'm a total homer because I am a total die never Packer fan. So I'm going to say they win this game, and I'm going to say that here's how it's going to happen. I don't care who runs the ball. We're gonna continue to run the ball. We're gonna have difficulty early, but we're gonna stick with it. If we run the ball and we stick with the run, I'm like you. You've got to look at some of the things that you saw in the first Arizona Cardinal game and think these are things that just don't happen. And they certainly don't happen twice in one season. The number of turnovers and the number of sacks goes to a third, basically. Whatever it is, but if we can eliminate, like McCarthy said before the Washington Redskins game, eliminate bad plays, I think we can get it done. And I'm going to say we do it, and hopefully that is enough for the Packers to move on in this game. Well, that's going to do it for us, and I will catch up with you again, hopefully, with some more videos this week. But it's coming up fast. Today's Friday, so tomorrow is the big game, and we'll see if the Packers can get it done. Here's hoping that they do. I know that if you're like me, you feel like if Arizona can win, or if the Packers can win against Arizona, the sky is the limit still at this point late in the season. So that'll be it for us. We'll talk to you again soon. Stay cool and go Pack.